Describing Kobe Bryant isn't easy. The hardest part is finding where to begin. Like all great sports heroes, Kobe has a character that's not black and white, but rather gray and full of life. From his first All-Star season in the NBA to his first championship in 2000, from the controversies he faced to what remained after the 2003 sexual assault case, from his feud with teammates to the 81-point game against Toronto and the consecutive 4 airball playoff game, Kobe's career and life are filled with contradictions. In fact, he's so easy to misunderstand at first glance, especially due to his actions ranging from not passing the ball to his teammates to sometimes bullying them. We're not talking about a straightforward life story here. There's nothing shallow or simple about Kobe Bryant. He's a strong and determined character that we wouldn't encounter in our normal lives. A superstar who constantly draws controversial events to himself, like a magnet, even though he's innocent. A great winner who, unfortunately, met a tragic end in a helicopter crash, along with his beloved daughter, Gianna. In his early career, he was an athletic guard who threw spectacular dunks to the basket, transforming into a mid-range and low-post assassin. But his basketball wasn't just about flashy moves. Kobe's basketball was forged in fire, and his greatest weapon was his obsessively stubborn determination, which sometimes made him seem mundane. Over time, the world got to know Kobe better, or rather, understood him. For example, when he said he had shot 100,000 shots in the summer of '99, we laughed, saying it would take an estimated 250 hours, mocking his calculation. But in the end, it wasn't the skeptics and critics who were right, but Kobe. Generally, as you get to know someone or learn more about their life, your respect and admiration for that person are somewhat shattered. For me, Kobe was the opposite. As a Celtics fan, I started to respect Kobe more over the years. Perhaps nothing more can be said for a person's character, but Kobe no longer surprises me. Hollywood stars, Jerry West, Magic Johnson aside, Kobe always had the spirit of Philly in his blood. Philly has been a symbol of one of America's most resilient working-class cities since the American Revolution. The city's residents continued to support all of its teams, even in the dark years when sports success seemed elusive. So, this city was not a symbol of success, but of perseverance. Just like its fictional heroes Rocky and Bernard Hopkins, known for their characters with a tough and relentless spirit. While not as famous for its iconic characters as Philadelphia, there's still an important basketball tradition. The dominant characteristics of Kobe's character are directly synonymous with Philadelphia. Even when he played injured, I saw Kobe analyzing his game or his team, not complaining. But I can hear those saying, Kobe spent his childhood in Italy. In fact, Kobe spent his infancy not in Philly, but in cities like San Diego, but his family roots were in Philadelphia. Kobe joined the track team in high school, especially excelling in running and long jump. He was different from other big men in basketball. He had a highly developed and versatile game compared to his height. He could play facing outwards, shoot, and pass. In essence, we're talking about the skill set required for every big man in today's basketball. However, Kobe Bryant's imagination and skills didn't align with his coach's expectations. He was expected to play inside the paint, utilizing his scoring and athletic abilities. As a result, he ended up playing 8 years in the NBA and received around 26-27 minutes per game in his final years. He wasn't bad by any means, but he couldn't meet his own expectations. Whenever he had the ball, coaches pulled him aside. Being born at the right time doesn't mean he was misunderstood. After all, he went to Italy and became a star player again. His father's presence inspired Kobe and introduced him to the inner workings of the game. But it didn't have much significance from a historical perspective. We call this the ideal father-son scenario. Perhaps the common trait among these 3 father-son pairs was that the fathers were good professionals, and their sons became superstars. One reason for this is that the fathers couldn't put too much pressure on their sons. This idea isn't mine. In the 90s and especially the 2000s, GMs in American sports began to consider these ideas before the draft. The best example of this is someone whose professional life was obvious from his father, whom you know from the movie Moneyball, who spent plenty of time at home, an ideal family man. Little Kobe would enter the court during breaks or timeouts in Italy, dribbling the ball between his legs, shooting long-distance shots regardless of his age, until the referees chased him away. Once, in a game against kids 2 to 3 years older than him, he dominated without passing the ball and made his teammates cry. This shouldn't surprise any of us, as his father, Joe Bryant, hardly ever passed during his career in Italy. Kobe was truly popular and in a privileged position where he gained confidence. Moreover, growing up in Europe, he seemed to be living in a protected bubble. But still, when Joe Bryant decided to quit basketball and return to America with his family, it benefited Kobe the most. The two started playing one-on-one in the backyard of their house in Philly morning and night. At some point, the hoop in the yard became almost a destiny, and Kobe's shots started going in more easily. As soon as he entered high school, he told his closest friend that he wanted to go directly to the NBA instead of college. However, the whole story didn't progress flawlessly with such arrogance. Of course, after returning to Philly one summer, with his father's insistence, Kobe decided to play in the Sunny Hill Summer League. The kids in this league were a few years older, but Kobe was used to dominating older kids in Italy. However, the result was a disaster. Kobe didn't get much playing time and, according to his own account, didn't score a single point all summer. From childhood to adolescence, Kobe always thought he was the best, and never really looked at himself in the mirror. His introduction to competitive Philadelphia basketball as a foreigner was a critical period for him. During those times, future NBA players like Rashid or Cat Mobley played in Philadelphia leagues, who were older than Kobe. So, the competition was tough, and like all great players, Kobe needed a reasonable amount of coaching. The coach of Lower Merion High School at the time carefully read the downloaded script. No winner had been identified. Kobe seized another great opportunity for both his school and his career by explaining it to them. At the end of high school, you want to be picked for McDonald's, don't you? Right now, there are 100 players as talented as you in America. Next year, due to drugs, laziness, and classes, 50 of them will be eliminated. The following year, 25. He started to implement his plan without being one of the remaining 25 players. That year, Kobe was invited to Adidas's ABCD camp, thanks to his father, Joe Bryant's connections. This camp was organized by the famous American sports marketer Sonny Vaccaro, the same Vaccaro who made the first shoe deal with Michael Jordan. Kobe was one of the 4 high school juniors attending the camp nationwide. The stars of the camp were high school seniors Kevin Garnett, Stephon Marbury, and Marbury was the MVP. However, as soon as Vaccaro saw Kobe, he began to rub his hands together, thinking he had found a new Jordan. As Kobe left the camp, he thanked Vaccaro and with his usual confidence said, "Next year, I'll be the biggest one." Kobe's talents received greater recognition at that time from the legendary coach Dean Smith. Great was looking for a wing player he could play over at the offensive end, like a star forward who had come up short against Arkansas in the NCAA finals that year. That's why the father himself spoke and offered Kobe a scholarship, who still had 2 years before college. Even until he entered the NBA draft, they didn't leave him alone. This isn't very surprising, as they were the type of parents who always chose academically successful children with impeccable character. Just think, Brent was academically successful, well-behaved in every sense, and played the piano in his spare time. Kobe was also of this caliber. He may not have played the piano, but he came from a bourgeois family, received a good education, was good with his studies, and was unlikely to get into trouble easily. In fact, what made Kobe's story unique was exactly this. You know, he could play basketball for only 2 hours a day instead of 6 if he wanted to. Basketball wasn't an escape for him. There wasn't a significant challenge threatening his existence in life. But in return, Kobe seemed to know what he wanted to do from the moment he was born. You know, we talked about a fire at the beginning of the video. That's exactly what I meant. Kobe knew he wanted to go straight to the NBA deep down in his mind. However, an interesting development occurred in the spring of 1995. According to the story, the Sixers' standout guard, Jerry Stackhouse, was 4 years older than Kobe and was selected third after scoring 95 points. And he was a star candidate who finished his rookie season in the NBA with an average of 19.2 points. Goodbye LaSalle, and Kobe's goodbye workouts had removed all doubts and guaranteed Kobe's selection in the first round. But before the NBA, Kobe had 2 goals to achieve. First, to be selected for the McDonald's game. Second, to be a winner. The first goal was relatively easy. If he continued to play like that, the prize was guaranteed. The other goal, however, was much harder than beating NBA stars one-on-one, because Kobe's problem wasn't whether he could score 30 points on the court. He could already do that. The problem was being able to lead a championship march with his teammates. Lover's state champion favorite entered the season slowly, with 3 losses in the first 8 games. Kobe had carried the team throughout the season, but he had to rely on his teammates in the final game that night. This game was the ideal ending for the story that ended Kobe's childhood. Because when I think of Kobe, the first story that comes to my mind is when Jerry West called one night in a panic and asked, "Kobe, how did we manage to win by scoring 30 points per game with Elgin Baylor?" He would almost have a heart attack, because Kobe wanted to win, but at the same time, he didn't want to compromise himself. He was obsessed with scoring 30 points per game every night. This could be said to be the biggest characteristic that conflicted with his personality throughout his career. However, these and similar stories will naturally be the subject of other videos. See you in other videos. Goodbye.